welcome to our Insightfulbabes podcast. My name is Diana.
And I am Maria.
And we are your hosts. We have created a brand new community for all of the hustlers, the dreamers, the outsiders, the visionaries out there. Coming from a Hispanic traditional beliefs, we've decided to share our entrepreneurship journey, ups and downs, and inspire, empower, and help others who are not being themselves because of fear or because of traditional beliefs. Hello guys, welcome back to Insightfulbabes podcast. Today I am so excited because we have a new special guest. Her name is Jaylen, and she is a first-generation Mexican-American college graduate. She is the first nurse in her family and part of the National Association of Hispanic Nurses. In the Illinois chapter as an active member and community engagement community co-chair. She is currently starting her first nursing job at Norwegian American Hospital in Chicago. That's a community hospital serving many communities, but majority being Hispanic, Latino community. She graduated from her community college and transferred immediately to a 4-year in university, graduating with her BSN. Hi, Jaylen.
Hey.
I call you Jay. I'm just going to say Jay.
Yeah, Jay is easier. Hey. How are you doing, JJ? Good. Just waking up and getting ready for my 3 days off. But yeah, I had my 2 orientation days yesterday and Monday. So the working days is heavy.
Alrighty. So we're super happy and grateful that you're here with us today and you decided to be in our podcast on this new special guest episode. And well, to have you as a special guest, we're super glad that we have you here. And most importantly, because you were open to share your own story, and we're just glad that you decided to share it with all of us and all of our Insightfulbabes listeners. So how do you feel? This is your first time in a podcast?
Yeah, first time. So I didn't even know what to expect to be on a podcast. It's just so different. I didn't really think that my story really would compare to anyone else, but I have met some people who would ask, they are first generations, or they don't really have role models, and that's kind of where I was at. I didn't really know who to ask to for the information, so I guess my experience was more challenging, just because every time I looked at one thing, I found myself on another obstacle.
Yeah, and we mentioned this when we first talked, that we all have a very unique story of our own, and sometimes we think that our stories won't even help anybody out there because they could be very random stories, or maybe nobody can compare it to them, but that's just our thinking. And in reality, there's so many people out there, that can actually relate to our story, and that we can actually inspire them with just sharing our story. So we're just very happy that you decided to take that step and not be afraid to open up about sharing your story. So thank you for doing that.
No, well, thank you guys for reading the story and really enjoying it and just giving me this chance to really share my story.
Yeah, anytime.
Yes,
so go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where were you born? And what do you like doing as hobbies?
So I grew up in Chicago, so I basically spent my whole life here. I pretty much know how to get around, train systems and everything. But I mean, I grew up in a very Hispanic household, or my parents are from Mexico, and they, do the traditional Mexican culture. But I grew up going to school with a very diverse group, and I feel even going to high school and college, I still surrounded myself with diverse people. I used to play a lot of sports in elementary school, but then once I started going into high school, I wanted to play on the soccer team, but I played on an outdoor league. Okay. And I sprained my ankle really bad. So after that sprain, I was I can't play anymore. I would try to play, and I just, every time I play, I get that fear of spraining it again. I'm I'm not going to do it. I need to.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's what happened to you, Maria. I'm tripping out right now.
Yeah, I remember you guys told, Maria was talking about that. I was yeah, that kind of happened to me too. I played in high school, but that was the last time I played.
Yeah, that kind of happened, but mine was a little more like intense. I first thought that I had just sprained my ankle, but it ended up being that I had tore my ankle ligament and I needed surgery. So it was crazy. But that didn't even stop me. I still kept playing. But yeah, soccer can be pretty intense. But wow, so you do like soccer. Do you guys like soccer in your family, or is that just something that you just like?
I think it's in my family. I think it's something more that me and my dad would use to like bond. We would like he used to play on a soccer team, so I would see him play when I was younger, and then I started playing soccer in elementary school, and he would go to my games. He would always be like the cheerleader on the side, but then he'll be telling me, "Go, don't forget to do this. Don't go here. Like, watch out over here." And I'm like, "Dad, hold on. I don't have like 5 eyes. Like, I'm trying to like figure this out." But he was always there, which I was happy about. And I think just as I got older, like I did wanted to play more serious about soccer, but with that whole incident, I was like, never mind.
Never
Like, I
again.
have to study, I have to but I still enjoy for fun. Like sometimes when I do like see that I have some free time, I'll ask my friends and be like, "Oh, like, do you guys have any leagues or any games coming up?" And then I'll just play here and there. But yeah, I think it's gonna take some time to kind of like get over that fear and go back to playing.
Si se puede.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
You. Just be careful.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Next thing you know, she's gonna be like, they told me to do it and to not be afraid. Y ahí viene la Jaylen toda con una cast.
I'll be on crutches again and be like, "They told me to do
I know,
it."
right?
No, I think that, like when you do something with fear, it can either go both ways. It can either go right or wrong. So just try to like not do it and be afraid, again, because you're kind of like attracting that into like getting hurt again.
Yeah.
So don't do that. If you go out and play, just be positive and just think, I'm not going to get hurt. Everything's going to be good. I'm going to have fun. And hopefully you don't get hurt. Okay. All right. So you're a registered nurse, correct?
Yes.
Are you the first one in your family to be a registered nurse?
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, I'm also kind of like, I guess right now I'm like the oldest one, most like from my cousins that we like hang out. And my sister's just 2 years younger than me, but she's going to be a doctor, I think. So we're both like interested in medicine. And I think for me, I didn't really have a role model in my family that went to college or like pursued a career in healthcare. So it was like, oh, like, like I want to try it, but at the same time, how do I do it? Because I don't like I've never seen it done in like my own family. And I feel like even like with my friends, I didn't really have anyone that I could say, oh, like, did your sister do this, or did your brother do this, or is your mom a nurse, or is your dad a nurse? Like I felt like the healthcare field was so separate from where I was that I couldn't picture myself in there.
Yeah, and that tends to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Diana has gone through this, but it has happened through me, like to me. I'm pretty sure you have, Diana, that when you decide to like take the entrepreneurship journey, we're like, what?
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Like, no. Yeah.
Especially with the whole like the culture and the traditions that parents and family members expect for you to follow. It's just it gets very crazy. But I'm glad that you were able to find your career and that you really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I feel like I started to enjoy it more when I started nursing school and doing my clinicals. So we would go to the hospitals that we were assigned to and just like do patient care and talk to the patients. And I think that really made me feel like, yes, like this is where I want to be. Like I want to be here and I want to help these patients get better, feel safe while they're there, because it's not just, oh, like, let me just make sure you feel better so you could go home. It's like, while you're here, what can I do to really help you go back home but prevent you from coming back? Like, what is it that I can do to make this stay so much better for you? And you don't like sometimes being in a hospital, you get so traumatized with everything, like people coming in and out, no one taking the time to really talk to you. They refer to you as a disease, like, oh yeah, she had a cardiac arrest, or she has pneumonia. And it's like, no, my name is Jaylen. You really have to make it, like, it's a fast-paced environment. And I understand, like, in some areas, like the ICU, it really is time sensitive. But we also have to remember, like, these are people, these are patients that we're taking care of. And sometimes if you go that extra mile and kind of say, oh, hi, good morning, Mr. and Mrs., then it really makes them feel like they're there and their person is still there. Their person is still intact.
You sound like you're really passionate, like, about what you do. Was that something that you knew you wanted to do from the beginning, or how did you like get started with nursing, or what was like the path that you decided to take?
So I never knew I wanted to do nursing. I always thought that because nursing was in the medical field that I wouldn't be able to do it. I was like, I'm not smart enough for that. Like, I can't see myself there. So I did like music, but that was like another hobby that I had, which was like, I liked singing and playing instruments and composing, but I didn't really see myself doing it like after high school. So I did talk to my advisor in high school, and he was like, no, like, maybe music is more like a hobby, something you do. But I told him, oh, then what about business? He's like, you're really going to have to like look at a mom in the eye with 5 kids and tell them you're fired. And it's like, oh no. Like, I want to help people. I don't want to put people in situations. Like, that's not what I wanted to do. I was like, I mean, I know business is so much more, but I think like the way that I was going to go is like, if you want to have a successful business, you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can for that business to grow. And I felt like like that was such a confusing career for me. I was like, no, I don't want to go into that. So then he offered, like, what, have you ever thought of being a nurse? I was like, I don't think so. I mean, that's science. I don't really think so. And then after that, I thought about it. I was like, maybe I could be a nurse, or what do nurses do, or what, like, how do you become a nurse? Because I was like, you just go to school and say, I want to be a nurse, and they give you the classes, or what do you have to do? So I researched it, and it was interesting to me because they do so much more than just give you medications. They work with doctors, they work with physical therapists, respiratory therapists, they work with everyone. And it's interesting how that communication really works. But I think that I understand a little bit why I went into nursing eventually, because I started out as a waitress or a hostess in high school of my senior year. I started working at a restaurant, and that was like a service job, like, customer service and being there with people. And I liked it. I liked working with people and serving people, and like just being able to give them a satisfaction of being there at the restaurant. And from there, I went on, and I did have a little bit of training and experience in the pharmacy, because I was a pharmacy technician. And I think that I also like gravitated more towards being at the register, because I like talking to the patients coming in and out, like pick up to their medications, rather than just like filling up the little bottles. Yeah. But even from there, like I went back into the customer service and did I worked at Target as a cashier, and then I did like the apparel. So I feel like everything that I've been doing, all the jobs that I've been working, have been customer service and being with people, that now I understand why I chose nursing, because it's such a connection with people, to be with them.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And you are a people's person, right? You enjoy being around people. I think that's very important when you're a nurse.
What advice or what tips can you give to somebody that's starting nursing school or that is thinking about starting nursing school? Like, what would, like, if you could tell yourself, like, do this first, what would that be? Like, what advice would that be?
I think research really what you want to do. If it is nursing, I think just really go into like finding yourself a mentor, finding yourself a counselor or an advisor, because going through nursing school alone is tough because sometimes you don't know what to do, and it's such a complicated system to navigate that you have to really be prepared to ask questions. And in high school, I was that kind of person that if I didn't get it, I'll go home and read it and I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But now, like, I understand that I have to ask questions, because if I don't ask the questions, then they already expect me to say, oh, like, if you're not asking questions, then you might already know. And if I don't know, then that's really like something important that you have to kind of train yourself to do, because if you don't know something bad can happen. So once I started nursing school, I had to ask questions if I didn't understand the material, and it went really the classes went quickly. So I had to make sure that if I didn't get something right away, I had to ask questions quickly, or even just make an appointment with my professors and be like, hey, like, I need to go over this now because I know that for the next chapter, this is just going to keep building. So I need to know this now before I can go into the next chapter.
Yeah, for sure.
I think just don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, like, how they say, like, there's no stupid questions. Like, everything is important. So, like, for me, I had a lot of, I guess, like, they're not stupid questions, but stupid questions like, oh, what is this for? Or why do we do this? Compared to others who might have already been like CNAs or been in healthcare and they already understand what the processes are doing. But for me, going into healthcare, it was like, I don't know why we're doing things. And I think that's important to know. Like, why are we doing things? Because sometimes you have to tailor the care to be for this specific patient, because one person may be like, oh, like, yeah, you need this, but for another, you might need something else to help you.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I learned to really ask questions.
Yeah. And I think that really goes for like any career. It's very important to just not be afraid of asking. If you have a question because you don't know something, go ahead and ask, because that could like really help you out in understanding your career way better. And I don't know, especially in the medical field, guys, please ask questions.
Yes, there's people's lives at stake.
Yeah.
Well, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes, please.
So, Jaylen, did you ever imagine that your advisor would be kind of like your answer to what career you were going to be doing and choosing?
No, I honestly didn't. Like, if I think about, I still have that moment in my head. I remember exactly like being in the classroom and we were getting ready for graduation because it was like a couple of weeks away and we were getting all that paperwork sorted out. And I remember him asking me, what am I planning to do after high school? And I was like, oh, like, I'm doing an audition right now. I wanted to apply to Vanderbilt or Millikan or like a performance degree in singing. But he looked at me and he's like, is that really what you want to do? Or what are you going to do after you go to college then? And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't plan that far. Mm-hmm. Like, well, music's great and everything, but do you do it for you or do you do it because you want it as a career? And I'm like, well, I guess I like it more for myself. Like, I do get nervous like when I would perform, but honestly, I feel like it's just like a comfort zone for me.
Yeah.
And him telling me that, it kind of made me realize like maybe that isn't something I should really like put my money on. But yeah, and just like navigating through like all the career choices, like I didn't think of nursing because I don't know anyone who's in nursing. So I was like, that's not for me. Like, let me just see what other stuff there is. I'm really grateful that he did bring up nursing because I guess he saw something in me that I didn't. And
Yes.
that was really great because I felt supported, and I felt like I am capable of more, and I shouldn't just like settle for less. Like I should go for what I really want. And even though like going through it, like going through college, I went to a community college first and got all my prerequisites out of the way. And then I went into nursing school. So I transferred to Dominican University. And it was really tough. I didn't expect myself to really push myself this much. But with him telling me that, have you ever considered nursing? It's because he saw something there. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, and we're really happy for you. I mean, you've accomplished so much right now, and we're just excited that now we get to follow you on your journey and we get to support you all the way. Tell us how it is now that you're like a registered nurse. How does it feel? How do you feel? Are you like excited? Are you still like, I can't believe I'm doing this?
I think, yeah, I'm still in that I can't believe I'm doing this like stage. And I mean, I was talking about this with my professor. Right now, she's my mentor. I was talking to her about how I feel and everything. And she said, oh, you're going through imposter syndrome. And I'm like, oh my God, like it literally feels like that almost every day. Whenever I'll like wake up and I'll go to the hospital and I'll be like, okay, I'm ready for my shift. But then I'm just like, I'll go home and then I feel like, no, like, am I really a nurse? Like, do I really belong here? Is this really for me? And I feel like it's just that constant cycle of going in and out. Like, oh, are you sure this is for you? Like, are you sure you see yourself here? And I'm like, But yeah, I feel like I struggle a lot with that. I struggle a lot with, I don't think I'm smart enough or anything like that. So it's been getting better because when I'm like working, I feel really confident. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I can, like, I have my my preceptor here. Like I can ask questions. This is a safe area to learn. So I feel like even though I have that confidence over there, I still go home and I'm like, am I really a nurse? How does this really happen? Like, I don't understand.
You worked for it, girl. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
You worked hard for it. I think we all struggle with that though, no matter what you do in your life, even if you're like the top dog. Like we actually had a podcast about this with Michelle, and like she was talking a lot about this, about the imposter syndrome, and I feel like we all go through that, and it's just normal. Like I go through that almost every day too, but it's just basically telling yourself like, no, I deserve to be here and I worked hard for it, and just keep pushing through.
Yeah, and you've done that. I mean, we see it. It's incredible. So I know that like for Diana and myself, we can't deal with like blood and nothing like that. Like, no way. So, like, I don't see us as nurses.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? Can you handle like blood and like people maybe vomiting?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, this is something I've always like wondered about, because I always thought like maybe like I'm not good with blood, maybe like, I don't like seeing people vomit. But whenever I'm in that situation and I see someone and like they don't want, like, I can really understand how they feel, and they're like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to like vomit on the floor, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, like that's fine. Like you're going through something, and I understand that you're going through something. So I'm not going to be like, oh, like, why did you vomit on the floor? Like, no, like everyone has their moments where they need help. And everyone has their moments where it's like, like, I'm so vulnerable, I don't know what to do. And you really need someone to kind of be that person and like, let me help you out. Like, don't worry, you're fine. Like, do what you have to do. And I feel like that's kind of how I am. Like, I'll be with a patient and they'll be like, oh no, like, I'm sorry, like, about this or that. I'm like, no, like, it's fine. Like, I always like I put back my my own fears, I guess, and I just do what I have to do. And especially when it's like emergency situations or anything like that. Like, if I see something, I don't care if I'm like, like my first thought isn't like, oh, ew, blood. Like, it's, oh my God, like, let me help you. Like, that's my first thought.
That's good.
Yes, for
Everything
sure.
else is
That's
like,
good.
No.
You probably get like into character, right? Like you're just like automatically your brain like switches on like, no, I need a help instead of like running away, kind
yeah.
of.
And it's so weird. It's like, oh no, like that's literally my first instinct is like, let me help. And then I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
can I really help? Am I gonna make it worse?
Oh.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Exactly right.
Yeah, but
That's
I think
really
that's
funny.
the way that I handle like the blood, the vomit,
Mhm.
everything. So I'm just like, like I've done a lot in my experience at like clinicals and working right now. And I think yeah, when like I sit down and I'm like, oh my God, like I touched blood or I did this, or I did that. I'm kind of like, wow, I didn't think I could do that. But in that moment, it's literally like something else happens. I'm like, okay, like I gotta get this done.
Yes.
Wow, well, that's incredible that you get to be able to handle all of that. And I mean, I believe that being an RN is also like a lot of pressure because
Yeah.
it's all about like emergency situations. I can't imagine all of the pressure and it's just, I don't know. I don't see myself being able to handle anything like that, especially because of blood.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing how like we all get to be able to, accomplish something, and especially we never thought that we'd be able to do that, and it's just
Yeah,
it's really great to be able to discover what we can handle. So,
of
Mm-hmm.
course. Yeah.
yeah,
We're
so
so proud of you, JM.
Thanks.
and thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Yes, really. Thank you, though.
No, no problem. I mean, I'm excited. I really hope that. I mean, this is barely the beginning because this is my first actual job in healthcare, and I think like I'm still learning everything new, everything. So like I'm still trying to process it all. I'm hoping that eventually I get into that I guess like that comfort zone and really understand like, hey, like I know what I'm doing, and from here, all I can do is build, grow more, and be better. Like that's all I'm hoping for.
You will. You'll get there, and you're already almost there. So that's all that matters. Just keep pushing through and just keep doing what you're doing, and you got this, girl.
Yeah.
All right. So, any struggles that you faced that you'd like to share?
I guess it's just not knowing in college what to do. I didn't really have anyone to really explain to me like, oh, you have to make sure you pay your tuition on time. You have to make sure you get your books a week before. I think that was a struggle for me because I would ask my parents, I'd be like, Mom, Dad, like, what do I do? And they'd be like, I don't know, we just finish college. I'm like, well, I mean, yes, but how? Like, it's not that easy. And yeah, I think I just had to really like reach out to other people. I reached out to like my friends. I would reach out to like my professors, and they would always be so helpful and tell me like, here, you can go here to talk to someone or do this or try this. And honestly, if it wasn't for my professors, and there's some of them that I actually like, I am so grateful for because they've always supported me, and I've really needed that support system because I had my family and that's my support system, but sometimes they can only go so much because it's not like they can tell me, oh no, like for that exam just study this way. It's like they don't really have all the answers. So I had to search for that support system in nursing school and kind of be like who can I go to if I have a problem, or who can I go to if I have questions? And those are my teachers. So I feel like I was grateful to have them. I also had like when I was in nursing school, we had to drive to so far for these hospitals. I think the farthest I've driven was I guess like an hour and a half or 2 hours. And I had to have luckily I had my clinicals on a Tuesday so that my dad could drive me every morning. Like I would have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning because I told them like it's too far. I can't drive all the way over there.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like I feel like not knowing who to talk to was my first obstacle because I was like, I don't know what to do. And it really got to me sometimes. I think it got to a point where I was like, do I really want to go for nursing school? Like maybe maybe I'm not cut out for this. And I've had a lot of moments like that. I've had a lot of moments, and like my mom and my sister have seen me cry. They've seen me cry over like, I don't understand this topic. Like, how do I do this? Like, it's so stressful. And I guess it's supposed to be that way. I always overhear them saying that nursing school is weeding out the weak, because it really takes a hard mind to deal with so much. Like, you have so much going through your brain. And sometimes even I feel overwhelmed with it, because even though I graduated, I still get overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, there's so much I have to take into consideration. But I guess it's just making sure that you put in the work and you put in everything that you can to get that goal.
Yeah. And I think that self-care, again, is like super important whenever you start feeling that way, when you just want to cry, you just can't. To not forget about self-care. It's super important.
Yes.
Back, relax, chill, and then take action again. So, alrighty. Can anybody reach out to you if they have any questions about becoming an RN or going to school for like medical school? Can they reach out to you, and where?
Yeah, they can reach out to me. I have Instagram, which I pretty much use for like anything. It's _JayCarmen. So J Carmen, or Facebook. So that's just like my name, Jaylen Carmen Perez. And yeah, like those are pretty much what I use.
So everybody who's tuning in, y'all know where to contact Jaylen if you have any questions about becoming an RN, or maybe even if you want to find out about medical school, anything like that. You guys can reach out to us as well, and then we can go ahead and connect you with Jaylen as well. So Jaylen, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and we're just so happy to follow you on this journey and to support you.
Thank you, Jaylen.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in to our Insightfulbabes podcast. Make sure to stay tuned every single Monday for a new podcast every week.
Okay, bye.